Healing Vindicator is one of the strongest builds in Wvw World, even after the changes that came with the Halloween patch on October 18th. We will look at the build in details, understand exactly how it works, and I will show you how to use it in action in Wvw World. For the armor, we are using a full set of Minstrel with Monk runes. We are using 2 Minstrel staffs, each one of them will have Sigil of Energy and Transference, and we are using a full set of Minstrel trinkets. I have many guides that shows you how to gear up any character from scratch. I will leave the links for those guides in the description below. And don't forget to use any Jadebot core, even at least tier 1, and of course the higher you go, the more vitality this will give you. This is the food we will use, and it is mainly for the endurance regeneration, which is very important for this build, and we will talk about it in a minute. The benefits we get from this food are very unique, and so even if the squad dropped ascended food, you most likely will not want to take it, and you want to stick to your own food, and Bountiful Maintenance Oil will be our utility. You can craft it using a Huntsman at least level 450, and this will be a little cheaper than buying it directly from the trading post. And if you don't already have the recipe for it, you can also buy it from the trading post. For the traits, we are using Retribution 2, 2, 1, Salvation 3, 3, 1, and Vindicator 2, 3, 3. For the legends, we are using the Alliance stance with the Dwarf stance, and within the Alliance stance itself, we will use the healing one 99% of the time. I will also leave a link for the full build in the description below. At the end, I will show you some other options for build and gear based on different situations. You can buy Monk runes from any of the dungeon merchants, and there is one in Lion's Arch south of the 4th Mariner waypoint. When you talk to the vendor, choose the second option, and then go to Ascalonian Catacombs, and then the second tab where it says Exotic. Each piece will cost 120 of the dungeon currency, which is something you get whenever you do any of the dungeons. Now, let's understand how the build works. The most important and unique thing about Vindicator, and specifically this build, will be your dodges, and when you land, you will provide multiple benefits. The first one will come from the Grandmaster trait in the Vindicator line. This will apply Barrier and Heal, and it will also give you an effect that will increase your healing to other allies by 20%. And because you will dodge often with this build, as we will see in a minute, you will basically have this effect with you almost the entire time. You also provide Vigor to yourself and allies when you dodge, and Vigor will also have more effect on you, which will enable you to dodge even more often. And then in the Salvation line, this minor trait will cause us to heal allies when we dodge, and this Adapt trait will remove conditions when we dodge. And because we will remove conditions, this trait will proc, which will apply protection to allies. On top of that, from the Retribution trait line, this minor trait will give us Vigor when we evade attacks, which you will do when you dodge, which will enable you to dodge even more often. And then this Master trait will give us Resolution when we dodge, and Resolution itself as a boon will reduce the condition damage you take by 33%. But even more important, from this minor trait, when you have Resolution, this will reduce the damage you take by 10%. And then this Grandmaster trait will enable you to have Resolution for a longer duration. And that's why Endurance Regeneration will be very important for this build. And you will notice that you will be able to dodge more often than other builds and other classes. And that's because you will get a decent amount of Vigor, which will also have a higher effect on you. On top of that, in the Retribution line, we have this minor trait, which will improve our endurance regeneration by 10%, and from our food we will get extra 40% endurance regeneration. And the energy meld skill, which is your F2 by default, this will consume 10 energy and it will give you 15 endurance back. And because we are using energy sigils on both of our staffs, anytime we swipe while we are in combat, this will refill at least half of our bar, and so all of that combined means that you will find yourself dodging very often in the fight. On top of the heal and barrier from our dodges, you will also be able to heal allies from other sources. This trait will cause any of our utility skills to apply regeneration, and because we will have very high healing power and healing modifiers, our regeneration will actually heal for quite a lot. The Grandmaster trait in the Salvation line will heal allies anytime we use any of our utility skills. And then from the utility skills themselves, you will have the healing skill that will heal you and allies, and this will apply the healing over 5 casts, and so the numbers you see here will be times 5. 5. The Tree Song utility skill will apply regeneration on its own, but it will also remove conditions from allies, and for every condition it will remove, this will heal a lot. And you can imagine in a fight with a lot of conditions, this will apply tons of heals. So this is actually a very strong healing skill. It's not just for cleanses. And then from our staff, we have skill number 4, Renewing Wave. This is a very big heal and a cleanse. And then skill 2, Mender's Rebuke, will also heal. And even the last chain in your auto attack will also provide some heals. And because we will be using double staffs, this means we have a lot of heals constantly from our staff. This elite skill is very important and useful. So let's understand exactly how it works. When the icon looks like this, it's not really doing anything. It means that this skill is on passive and it's waiting to be activated. Once you activate it, the icon will look like this, and you will notice that you are no longer regenerating any energy. You will also notice that your health is dropping down automatically, even if you are not taking any damage. When you consume the elite skill, you will gain your energy back, and you will heal yourself and allies based on whatever amount of health you lost. It will also reduce the damage and condition damage you take by 50%, and this, along with protection and the high armor you have from your gear, means that you'll be extremely tanky when you use that skill, and most of the damage you will take will be from the skill itself and not from the enemies. Another very important detail is that you cannot be healed when you have this skill active. You cannot heal yourself, and allies cannot heal you either. For example, right now I have the skill active, as you can see. Even if I use my healing skill, I'm not getting any heals at all. Always one thing to keep in mind, whatever numbers you see on your skills in terms of healing are not affected by any modifiers. And with this build, you will have tons of modifiers, and so you will do much more healing than the numbers you see on the skills, especially when you heal other allies. As for the cleanses, those are going to be skills you will use already for the heals, like for example your dodge will remove conditions, and then Tree Song will also remove conditions and it will heal allies per conditions removed, and then we have Staff 4 that will also remove conditions as we use it. Now let's understand how to use this build in action. The most important thing about the build is that you want to dodge as often as you can. And we already explained before all the benefits you will get from dodging. And whenever you run out of dodges, swap weapons, and this will give you some endurance back because we are running 2 sigils of energy on both our staffs, and then you can also use your F2 energy meld skill. By doing that, along with all the passive endurance regeneration we have from the build, you will be able to dodge very often in the fight. Anytime we need the heals, make sure you use your healing skill, which is a very big heal for you and the group, and it will pulse 5 times. And we also have skill 4 on the staff, Renewing Wave, which is also a very big heal. And anytime you need cleanses, Tree Song is the perfect skill. It will remove conditions and on top of that, provide very big heals per condition removed. And then also Renewing Wave is a very good cleanse to use on top of that. Awakening is a skill that will stun break you and allies, and it will also provide protection. So this is a very good skill to use when you or the party needs a stun break. The stability applies only to you, it does not apply to allies. The elite skill is very useful and dangerous, so be very careful when to use it. And if you are new to this build, I would highly recommend that you try to ignore your elite skill for the time being, focus on your dodges and your other heals and cleanses, and only after you get familiar with your build, start using your elite. And when you start using it, this is not a skill you will want to use all the time. This is only a skill you will try to use for emergencies when you need even extra heals. And when you use it, I would recommend not letting yourself drop below 75% and then consume it to get your energy back, which will also provide a big boost of heals for you and the party. Anytime you find yourself low on energy, or you need heals and your healing skill is on cooldown, then we switch to Dwarf, which will give us some energy, and you will have another heal. If you are under pressure from the enemy Zerg, Rite of the Great Dwarf is a very good skill to use for you and the group because it will reduce the damage you take by 50%. And Inspiring Reinforcement will drop a road on the ground that will keep pulsing stability, and it will also do some damage. And when you need the extra sustain, Vengeful Hammer is a very good skill. It will reduce the damage and condition damage you take by 20%, and it will also heal you as it hits allies. And when the alliance stance is ready again, go back to it immediately. Now let's look at the different options for gear and traits that we can have. For the gear, don't forget that I have plenty of guides that shows you how to get a full set of gear for any character from scratch. The link for it is in the description. But if Minstrel was hard or expensive for you to get, you can work with Cleric until you are able to get Minstrel. This goes for armor, weapons, and trinkets. But of course keep in mind that you will not have as much health, which will impact your own sustain. If you didn't have enough currency for the monk runes, you can use a flock, which will give you and allies extra heals when you use the healing skill. Or if you needed more cleanses, you can use runes of the water. For the sigils, this will highly depend on whether you will be able to swap often in combat or not. If you found yourself not able to, there is absolutely nothing wrong with it, but in that case only have one staff and you can take out the sigil of energy and put sigil of life instead. As for sustain, if you found yourself struggling to stay alive, there are a couple of traits we can change. In the salvation trait line, we can have resilient spirit, which will give us barrier on the bones we have, and we can also have unyielding devotion, which will decrease the damage we take by 15%, and the effect will stay with us longer when we heal allies, which will pretty much be doing the entire fight. If you found this guide helpful, please consider subscribing and leaving a like. This is my first guide for a Wvw Vault build, but I plan to do more in the future. And you will find all of those future guides and my current PvE build guides in playlists. I will leave them in the description and your screen now. So I will see you in the next guide.